Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hey everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, sugar freedom expert and speaker. And today we have another doozy for you. Obviously, the time of the year is here that we are heading into the holidays, the dreaded holiday season. And I really want to dive deep with all of you today to really set you up for some serious success and some really powerful physical and mental things that we can do now to make the most out of this amazing, beautiful time of year and really start to shift the way that we see and the way that we show up for ourselves during the holidays. So I'm going to be sharing 6 really powerful tools that you can implement right now, today, that's really going to make a monumental shift in the way that you slide into the holiday season and how you actually support yourself in staying on track with your health during the holiday season. Because let's face it, most of us know that the holiday season is such a time of temptation, and it's so easy to just decide to throw in the towel and to start over January 1st. And we feel miserable, we feel guilty, we feel ashamed, we feel bloated, we feel disgusting, we feel stressed and overwhelmed, and just all of this toxic cocktail of mental, emotional, and physical pieces that show up for so many during the holidays. And I made a lot of these changes myself, many years ago in really shifting how I showed up in the holidays. And it made the world of a difference. It really helps me actually look forward to the holidays, actually come out of the holiday season feeling rested, feeling nourished, feeling healthy, feeling alive, and starting January 1st from this place instead of from a place of feeling bogged down and disgusting and have gained 10 pounds that I know so many of us fall into that trap. So that's why I wanted to record this episode for all of you. And before we get into these 6 tools that I want to share, I want to do something new here on the podcast. There have been some amazing listeners leaving some 5-star reviews, and I'm so beyond grateful for each of you who have taken the time to leave a review. It really means the world to me, and it helps my podcast reach a lot more people. So if you haven't yet, please come over and leave a 5-star review. It would mean the world to me over on Apple to help me get the word out there more about what I'm sharing and this incredible, powerful information that needs to be out there in the hands of everyone who struggles with sugar. So I want to highlight one today because I absolutely loved reading this from Celestine J. She says, "This is a refreshing perspective on taming the sugar dragon. Danny is energetic, passionate, and helps me get to the core of healing myself, which keeps all of my dragons at bay." I love that term, sugar dragon. So thank you, Celestine. I really love and appreciate that review, and everyone else who has shared one. I'm going to start spotlighting and highlighting all of you here at the beginning of the episodes. And I'm really excited to do that because there have been some amazing pieces and feedback coming through from all of you who've been listening and following along. So whether or not you're new to the podcast or you've been listening with me since the start, I really, really want you to know I appreciate you. And it would mean the world to me if you could take a minute to leave a review on Apple, on iTunes, and share with me your thoughts and feedback from the show. Now, as you know, we also, I love starting these episodes a little bit of an update from my personal life, from things that I'm going through, things that have been going on. And you've been on the journey with me the last couple of months as I've been navigating some really difficult things. But I'm happy to report that I'm coming out of that. And one thing that I'm really celebrating this week is all of the women who have joined and are halfway now through my Break Free from Sugar signature program. It's a 10-week program. We started it back in October. And it is just blowing my mind, the transformations that are already taking place for these women who have committed to this journey. The conversations that we are having are just next level. Every time I host this program, it gets deeper and deeper and more powerful and more powerful. And this time just feels so incredible with the deep dive that we're doing and the awareness that the women are gaining around really where their addictive patterns to sugar are coming from beyond the physical. At the time of recording this episode. I'm really excited to announce that we're sliding into the first week of the sugar detox in that program. What makes what I do in that program and work with my clients so unique is we spend at least a good 4 weeks doing some of the deep inner work before going sugar-free. This is really important because we're not doing another fad diet here. We're not just doing another 30-day sugar detox. This is really about creating sustainable change and creating this foundational change and healing from the inside out. So I'm really excited to share with you that is happening. And it's so amazing what can happen in the right container with the right guidance and the right community in only 5 weeks. So they've still got 5 weeks to go. We're going to finish strong. We've got a lot going on, but just the shifts that have been taking place, hearing all of the women share how they're becoming more compassionate with themselves. They're feeling more at peace when it comes to their obsessive patterns and thinking about food all day long. They're feeling more ease when it comes to food. There's weight loss taking place. There's more energy starting to come through, and just more self-love and this kindness to really understand our journey and not be in the guilt and shame anymore when it comes to food. So really incredible watching these women shift out of this black and white diet mentality into really finding and learning to tune back into themselves, which is really what the program is all about, is reconnecting with ourselves so that we can make healthy choices become effortless and easy. So really exciting. It's just incredible. I love our weekly calls. We have one actually today at the time of recording this. I can't wait to hear how the women are doing. Just the camaraderie and the vulnerability and the openness to cry and to share our wounds and our pains. This is a really unique container that I create when I host my programs, and it's really near and dear to me, and it's really important when we're doing this healing to be held in safe space in that way. So it's such an honor. It's a huge honor, and to any of you listening that are in that program right now, you know that I'm talking about you, and I'm really grateful for your commitment to this process and trusting me in that journey. It's a huge honor, and I really feel that. Another little fun update, because I know I haven't been posting a lot on social media these days. I've been taking a really beautiful break from Instagram, from Facebook. Obviously, I'm still here on the podcast is the best place to hang out with me. I'm taking a big break to really give myself some space to reassess my relationship with social media and my relationship with how I want to use it to obviously share and support and inspire and impact the world and all of you in guiding you in this journey. There's some big shifts happening for me and this time of year that often happens. And it's been really beautiful to kind of step back and to give myself a little break from that, which is actually, this isn't something I was planning on sharing today, but it's coming up to me now, right? As we're talking about setting ourselves up for the holiday season, this is one of the best things you can do for yourself, right? Is give yourself a break from social media, from news, the toxicity, the fear, the negativity, the things that exist out there that really drain your energy. You're welcome to take a break from them. Nothing bad is going to happen. I promise you. I promise you. So because I haven't been posting on there, many of you don't know that we have actually taken in our next batch of little foster kitties. And they're not so little, actually. We're fostering 2 beautiful black and white female cats. They're about 8 or 9 months old, and they are so sweet. Very interesting, and the irony is not lost on me that they look very much like Moose. They're black and white. They look very much like Moose. Obviously, very different personalities, but it's been a really beautiful gift and a really difficult gift to bring them, into our home and to help rehabilitate them. They came from a home situation that was actually extremely traumatic for them, and when I picked them up and brought them home, just under 2 weeks ago, they were absolutely terrified. Their nervous systems were shot. They were scared. They wanted to hide in the dark corner. And it really, really broke my heart. Broke my heart in so many ways that any human being or animal should be treated that way, or raised in an environment that they don't feel safe. So this is an issue of safety. And I see this parallel with, I actually was talking with the women in the Break Free from Sugar program that week when I got them about this really important understanding of how most of us were not in a safe container when we grew up. We were not in a safe space to express our emotions, to be us, to really be heard, be seen, all of these core wounds that are at the root of what we're doing in the program and how I work with my clients and really healing from the inside out. And I saw that directly with these poor little kitties, in just their just total shutdown mode, right? They were afraid of everything, every noise, me, Ben, like just absolutely terrified, and really, really just broke my heart that anyone should be in that situation where they don't feel safe to be themselves, right? And they don't feel safe to play or to explore or to cuddle or to all of these things that obviously a cat or a little child, all of us, the child in us, right? There's something there for us. So a lot of parallels and lessons from the adventure of fostering. Rent a cat, I call it, because we get to have some beautiful feline energy in the home and obviously make a difference and do something really beautiful and good. And this has been one of the most rewarding, as fun as the little kittens are that we've had in the past when we fostered, this has been the most rewarding because what we've been able to see, and I've been doing a lot of work with the girls, is really seeing them completely do a 180. It's been so beautiful every day to watch them become more bold, more courageous, more willing to explore the house, more willing to, less scared with noises when I'll turn on the blender or things like that. It's really, really beautiful just to watch them finally relax and to learn that they are safe and that they can actually start to play. So we've watched them transition from hiding to now running up and down the hallway, chasing each other and playing and exploring and even cuddling with us at night. And it's just been such a gift to provide that safe space for them and to watch them blossom. And that's what I do with my clients too. It's such an honor when we can see how we can all relax our nervous systems when we're in the right environment, right? And we're held and supported and heard and seen and all these really important things. So that's a little bit of what's been going on for me, but I want to dive into today what I want to share with you, right? Let's talk about the holidays. Let's switch gears here. Let's talk about the holidays because this, for many of us, is the hardest time of year, right? We've got American Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving was in October. We've got Christmas coming up. The weather is getting cold. It's dark outside. It's windy and rainy and miserable. And temptation is everywhere, right? There's more social gatherings. There's more candy and treats and temptations and baking, that's being maybe brought into the office. There's a lot going on. Right? There's definitely a lot going on this time of year. And for most, it is the most difficult energetically as well as we shift into more of an inward time of year, right? There's more darkness. There's more energy to go inward. And that can be really unnerving, especially if we're afraid to look inward, right? Because there's wounds there and there's pain there that we're using sugar to avoid. So this time of year there's a lot kind of working against us in a way. And most of us, myself included in the past, will fall into some of the major common traps, right? The major common pitfalls that happen this time of year, right? Number one, coming into this with the all or nothing mentality, right? The all or nothing, like I am not going to have any sugar over the holidays, or if I accidentally have one cookie, well, I might as well just binge for the next 30 days, right? This mentality of, well, I've ruined it already. I had a cookie or I binged last night. So that means I might as well just continue eating junk for the next 30 days and start fresh on January 1st. So this all or nothing mentality is so toxic when it comes to the holiday season, for many reasons, and we'll get into that. Another common trap is really not having any boundaries around food, right? Just not having any goals or boundaries or agreements with yourself, with people in your house around food, right? It's just becomes this free for all, right? And it becomes this, well, my mom always baked with me, or I want to make, in my case, this is a big one, right? I want to make my traditional family cookies that were handed down. I have a lot of Danish traditional cookie recipes that were handed down from my grandma to my mom to me. And that's a very nostalgic piece of this time of year, is bringing in those recipes. And they're not sugar-free, I tell you that much. Anyone who's ever had a Danish butter cookie knows what I'm talking about. Another really big common trap is really throwing out all the goals, right? I kind of mentioned this already, but there's kind of this mentality for a lot of us. Well, it's holiday season. January is just a month away. I'm just going to throw all my goals out the window, forget everything that I've been working on because I'm not where I really want to be. Oftentimes, we'll get to this time of year and go, oh, I haven't reached all my goals. All the things that I set out last January to do, I'm feeling like a failure. I'm feeling like I haven't even accomplished any of them. And why bother anymore? There kind of becomes this like, why bother mentality that really encourages us to just throw it all away, right? Well, forget it. I'm just going to stop trying and I'm just going to set new goals again January 1st. So again, this kind of all or nothing mentality and this really being hard on ourselves, right? Feeling like a failure, feeling like the stories and the pressure that we've put on ourselves because maybe we're not where we want to be. Maybe you haven't lost the weight that you wanted this year. Maybe you don't feel like you have a handle on your sugar addiction like you wanted to at the beginning of the year. And that's okay. That's okay, right? This is a process and a journey. So this can really lead us into another common pitfall and trap is really getting into the shame and guilt spiral, right? The being ashamed of not being where we are, or being ashamed of having a binge on Christmas cookies, or being ashamed of just the shame and the guilt and the extra pressure we put on ourselves around the holiday season, in my opinion, makes all of it so much worse. And it's actually even unhealthier for you because it puts your body in a stress state. Another thing that can really happen here, and I kind of mentioned this already, but is this sort of Last Supper binge temptation, right? This like, oh, I'm just going to, if I'm going to go off of sugar, I'm going to do it January 1st, and I'm just going to go full tilt and have everything and anything I want all month. And then on January 1st, I'll start again. And this obviously is really dangerous for the body and really harmful for your mind and your spirit and your body to kind of be in that mentality. So we need to start shifting out of that and really starting to pay attention if any of that resonates with you, right, for in the past, to really, really start bringing in a new level of awareness for yourself this year and really starting to really think about the holidays in a whole new way, which is what I want to help you do. Because the truth is, there is a way for you to stay on track with your health goals. Yes, even if you're wanting to be sugar-free or you're minimizing sugar and weaning it out of your diet, wherever you are on your sugar freedom journey, there is a way to stay on track and still enjoy the holiday season. Maybe even allow yourself to even have some sugar and partake in those pieces. There's a way to do both. It's not an all or nothing. It's not, I have to eat all the sugar in order to enjoy the holiday season and just throw my health out the window, or I have to be super strict and then I'm not going to enjoy any of the holidays. Those are kind of like many of us subconsciously or consciously are kind of in that camp. There's like this option A and option B. But what about option C and D and E and F, right? There isn't just two options here. There isn't just eat sugar, enjoy the holidays and feel sick and be unhealthy, or don't eat any sugar, maybe feel healthy, but be miserable and not have any fun this holiday season. So we really need to take a hard look at those two polar opposites that you might be playing with in your mind and start calling yourself out on that. So this is why I want to share these 6 keys to really help you thrive this holiday season and help you find your unique balance so that you're not in this all or nothing mentality and you're not in this trap of just throwing in the towel and starting again January 1st. Because you can find a balance. You can definitely still enjoy the holidays and be healthy and eat healthy and look after yourself. There's a way to do both. And there's a lot of big things that we need to shift, mostly mentally and emotionally, to really set you up for this. So let's get into these six tools, these 6 tools that I want to share with you and focuses that I want you to really, after this episode, or if you're right now following along and you're not driving, get your journal out because I want you to actually do this. Here's the thing. A lot of you are just going to listen to this episode and go about your merry way into the same thing that you did last holiday season, the same old patterns, the same old stuff. And I want this to be different for you. And it's only going to be different if you take action. If you take what I'm teaching you and you actually spend some time hashing this out for you. Because your healthy holiday plan is going to be different than everyone else's. It's going to be different than mine. It's going to be different than your kids, your spouses, your friends, your coworkers. So it's really important to really sit down and be intentional with the holidays coming up. So tool number one, and the most important place to start, is in the mind, the mindset, the mental awareness and prep that you can do heading into the holidays. So first things first here is you want to really get clear on choosing a new story and belief about what the holidays mean. Most of us are walking around with a belief that the holidays are stressful, the holidays are miserable, they're overwhelming, the holidays are exhausting, the holidays are unhealthy, they're a time of guilt and shame and gaining weight. All of these are beliefs based off of your past. And the magic of the mind is that you can choose a new future by changing the stories and inviting in a new belief pattern about what the holidays mean. So I invite you to brainstorm this for yourself. Maybe the holidays to you mean nourishing, relaxing time with friends and family. Maybe the holidays are actually really fun and restful, and you end up really enjoying yourself as opposed to doing all the things and running around with your head cut off, right? And feeling stressed. So the other piece that you really need to focus on here around the holidays is committing to relaxation, committing to minimizing stress. I cannot even imagine what I would be like if I was living in the world that so many of you live in, where you do all the things during the holiday. Oh my goodness. There is so much pressure and so many quote unquote to-dos on the to-do list during the holidays for so many people. Decorate the house, buy all the gifts, do all the fun activities with the family, and every day is planned, every day is loaded, every day is just go, 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 go. And that is so not the way holidays should be. Okay, I'm willing to bet you actually want to feel relaxed and nourished during the holidays, and maybe even feel some joy and feel like it's fun and you can look forward to it, instead of feeling, oh, here we go again, and feeling the pressure and feeling the intensity. So it starts in your mind. It starts with making a commitment to yourself to, maybe take some things off your plate and commit to relaxation, and actually blocking off in your calendar time to do that. Really, really setting those boundaries and saying, no, Saturdays are a day with no plans, right? Or Sundays are tech-free days, right? These things that really set us up mentally and physically and emotionally to be rested and relax, right? And allow yourself to sleep in or have lazy days in bed watching Netflix, like whatever it is that makes you feel most nourished and relaxed. We need to prioritize that, because if we don't, it doesn't happen. And what I see is most women taking on all the tasks and all the to-dos. They got to cook the big dinner and decorate and do the gifts and drive so-and-so to all these things and say yes, yes, yes to everybody. And we are spread so thin that it's no wonder we're reaching for sugar to numb out and to get through that. Now, in the mindset category as well, I really want you to focus on being curious. Okay, this is going to be your best tool, because this time of year, with the extra pressure of temptation and holidays and family triggers and emotions and darkness and all the things, this is a perfect time of year to become hyper aware of what's really going on under the surface of your relationship with sugar. So if you notice you have a binge, or you notice you're really craving sugar, really spending time being curious about where that's actually coming from. Because more often than not, it's not physical. It's not physical. It's the mental, emotional pieces, the deeper pieces that are keeping you hooked, right? The memories of baking cookies with your mom, right? The connection that you have around the sugar and holidays and love, right? And fun and joy and pleasure and all of these really beautiful things that we want in our lives that have just been misdirected towards cookies, right? And chocolate, and are not actually true sources of these things that we really need. So this time of year is a great time to really be hyper aware, to learn about yourself and learn about what's really going on, so you can begin to uncover the foundational cracks, as I say, these foundational pieces that still need to be healed around your patterns with food. So this is a great time to be extra aware of that when we're pushed into social situations we don't want to be in, or with family that triggers us, and all of these things that show up around the holidays. Keep a journal, be curious, stay aware, and don't judge yourself about it. This is really important, right? When we're in curiosity, there's no room for judgment. So just really staying mentally aware of what's going on for you. And maybe it's something that you want to unpack or journal about later, right? But you can make notes as things come up for you. So the mindset piece is huge. being literally, this is the choice right now that you can make for yourself to be intentional about what you want the holidays to be, right? And the new story and belief that you want to choose about the holidays. Reducing stress, being curious, these things. Tool number 2 that really ties in nicely to what I was just talking about is really getting clear on your goals and priorities. Most people don't set any goals in December, right? If anything, we throw our goals out the window and we don't take a minute to even think about what's important to us, to think about what really matters, and to think about what are the real priorities. So in this area, I want you to spend some time creating a master to-do list. This is an important one. If you feel overwhelmed during the holidays, or you feel like you take on everything and you're spread really thin and you're always stressed and you just have too much on your plate, this is a really important practice at any time in the year, is to write down everything on your to-do list, everything that's on your holiday to-do list, especially upcoming, right? Is it, buy the turkey, cook the turkey, decorate the house? What is really showing up for you that you want to get done this holiday season, right? And actually, even looking at that list once it's fully written, seeing how long it is and getting clear on what are things that I actually want to do and what are things that I feel like I have to. And are these things that I actually have to do, or are they things that society has told me I quote unquote have to do? A lot of things that we do during the holiday season are put on us by society and other moms and maybe our moms and just people pushing things on us that we think we should do. And it's not true. So once you have this list, you can actually start to really get clear for yourself. What do you actually want to do? What things can actually be crossed off? And which things are priorities? What are the top priorities, right? Really getting clear. Okay, it's really a high priority for me to spend lots of quality time with my kids, right? Or my grandkids. Beautiful. So making sure that you have that booked in and making sure that, that is a priority for you. So that in itself, it seems like such a simple exercise, but just writing down what's on your holiday to-dos and really being intentional with prioritizing what actually needs to be done. And I'm willing to bet at least half of what you've got in your mind on your to-do list isn't actually that important. And it doesn't actually need to be done. And if you allow yourself to cross that off the list or delegate it to someone else, right? It will relieve so much pressure and so much stress that you'll actually be able to enjoy the holidays, right? And actually have fun, which is the point, right? And feel nourished and relaxed. So as I mentioned, you want here to get really clear on what matters to you. And what do you want the holidays to be about? This is really important when it comes to reshaping our relationship with sugar, because for most of us, the holidays equal food and sugar. So this is your opportunity to really sit down and think about, what do I actually want the holidays to be about? What's it really about? And for me in my journey, right, the holidays have now more and more every year become so much more about spending time with those that I love. Quality time, going on adventures, exploring, being out in the cold weather, maybe playing in the snow, playing games. To me, it's really about just being with the people that I love in a nourishing way, in a way that is really fun, and we get some quality time together. That's an important love language for me. So it's about quality time for me, and it's also about the coziness for me, and the coziness of a fire, of our sauna, candlelight, soft music. Those cozy evenings, wrapped in a blanket, drinking some hot tea on the couch and reading a book, right? So what are the holidays about for you, right? What are they about for you? What do you want them to be about when you take food out of the equation? When you take food, and obviously, yes, food's going to be a part of it, right? Maybe there's a big feast and a big turkey dinner or a roast ham, right? That is a big part of maybe your celebrations of the holidays. But I want you to really think about the other pieces of the holiday, right? So that food doesn't become the only reason that you're celebrating the holidays. And a big part of this, as you get clear on your goals and priorities, is really, really important for you to plan for joy and connection. These are two of the things that we are starved of in our society that are huge, huge culprits in the realm of driving us to eat sugar. Most of us rely on sugar for joy. We rely on sugar for pleasure. We rely on sugar for feeling connected. These are absolute human needs, and we have to start learning to not use sugar in these ways. So being intentional as you're setting your goals and your priorities for the holiday season is to really make sure that you're booking in joy, connection, and pleasure. And, as someone who comes from Danish descent, a big part of my upbringing and a lot of our traditions over the holidays were really about bringing in hygge. And if anyone's never heard of that, it became quite popular. I know there were lots of people talking about hygge over the years, and you've probably heard about it before. But it's this Danish tradition, and I'll call it an energy of coziness. And it's really this really beautiful energy of being with ones you love, hanging out, and just hanging out in the living room, having the candles going, having some beautiful scents in the house. We used to always put cloves in oranges and hang them around the house, so everything smelled like cloves and orange peel, or having maybe some spices simmering on the stove, so the whole house kind of smells like pumpkin spice. Those sorts of things were really an important part of my upbringing. And there was a lot of traditions in my Danish lineage that weren't about cookies. A lot of them, yes, were about cookies, but we also, a big part of hygge and of the Danish tradition is bringing in the greenery from outside inside, because it can be obviously really dark and a lot of the day, and it's really beautiful to have the greenery in the house. So we always cut branches and make these beautiful little bouquets and decorations in our house, and that was always a fun craft night. We would go wander outside, cutting pieces of different types of trees, and then we'd come in and we would make these arrangements and hang little ornaments on them and have those around the house, have them in the bathroom and the living room and on the mantle. And it was really kind of a fun tradition that I absolutely still carry on. And for me, that brings in a lot of that like crafting and creativity and connection, right? If you're doing that with other people. So I invite you to bring in some crafts, some creative endeavors that are beyond baking, because that is for a lot of us what baking is all about. It's really helping us tap into feeling creative. And we can do this in so many other ways, right? You can make ornaments, you can make these arrangements in your house. You can learn to make your own soap. That's something I do every year as well. So there's a lot you can do to be creative that doesn't have to be sugar. So just focusing on this joy, right? Like, how else can you bring joy into your life and connection with those that you love? Because I think this is a big piece around the holidays that so many of us, quote unquote, right, need sugar to fill, and we don't. And obviously here, as you're setting your goals, a big one that's going to be important is to move your body. You definitely need to get moving, right? And maybe it's just walking. I know for me personally, it's really hard to move this time of year because it is freezing outside. It is very cold, and I am not a fan of running in the cold. It really hurts my lungs and it hurts my knees and all the things. I mean, I still do it, but it's difficult. So it can be tricky to want to get out in those ways, but it's important that you do it. So bundle up, put on lots of clothes if it's cold where you live, and move your body. Right? And you can move your body inside too. Dance parties are a great way to do that. Maybe taking up some yoga. There's lots of videos that you can follow, and just allowing yourself to move around, and maybe even doing yard work, these sorts of things too that count for moving your body. So that's number 2. Okay, moving on. Tool number 3 here. There's obviously a lot in this, so I hope that you sit down with this, take some time to go through each of these and really reflect for yourself. Number 3 is one of the most powerful things you can do for your life in general, and especially around the holidays. And this is letting go of people pleasing and learning to set healthy boundaries. So important. And most of us suck at this. Okay, this has definitely been something that I have had to work on, and I'm continuing to work on and let go of in different areas of my life. And it is one of the most profound shifts that I've ever made. When we stop living our life according to what other people want us to do for them, we get our power back. We get to take our power back, and we get to actually honor what we need and what we want. Especially around the holidays, there is so much pressure from society, from our moms, from our coworkers, from our kids. There's so much pressure to do this and do that and do that. And just, it makes my head spin just thinking about all the things that so many women say yes to over the holiday season when they don't have time or energy for it, or they don't even want to. Saying yes to every invitation to dinner or holiday party, right? Just everywhere we go, we say yes to everything. And a lot of this is, for helping other people. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't help other people. I mean, definitely being kind and giving is important, but from a place of your cup being filled first. And what we do when we just do everything for everyone else without putting ourselves first is we totally dry ourselves up. We suck all of our energy, and then we're giving and helping people from a place of being totally depleted and exhausted. And this really amps up during the holidays because there is a lot going on, and a lot of people might be asking for your help. They might be expecting you to do all the cooking, or they might be, and all the cleaning and all the decorating and all the shopping, right? And I really want you to start understanding that you do not have to do any of that. Right? I want you to start standing in your power and choosing what it is that you want to say yes to. Do you have the energy to do all those things? Do you have the capacity to do X, Y, and Z? If not, set a boundary. Set a boundary. Say no. This is your official permission to say no to anything you want to during the holiday season. You do not have to do it all. You do not have to decorate your house. You do not have to clean your house before everybody comes over. You do not have to do all the cooking and the cleaning. You don't have to say yes to these things. And sometimes, depending on your family dynamic, it can feel like you do have to, but you don't. The truth is you don't. And when you start to set your boundaries and start to stand in your power in honoring, you know what? I don't want to cook this year. And I don't want to do all the shopping this year. And start learning to ask for help, learning to delegate, learning to say, you know what, we're just not going to do that this year. And learning to take these big things off of your plate, everyone around you is going to be more relaxed. They might push back for a little bit and be like, what? We want you to cook dinner. And then you can come back with maybe, great, will you help? Or I'll cook dinner if you do all the cleaning up, right? And all the shopping, right? Maybe there's some ways that you can make sure that you're not taking everything on. This is really important if you want to minimize overwhelm and you want to minimize stress and you actually want to be able to relax and have fun and feel joy and this hygge during the holidays. We have to take a stand against all of the societal pressures to do all the things and set those boundaries. Right? Set those boundaries. I am not available on Saturdays, or I'm not doing the cooking this year, or I'm not doing the decorating this year. What are those boundaries? And of course, the boundaries around food, right? Like I am not going to be eating this junk, right? Or I'm not going to be doing those things. So say no. You don't have to do all the things. And I know this can be really uncomfortable, especially if everyone around you is used to you saying yes and is expecting you to say yes to everything again. So this is going to take some practice and finessing, but it is one of the most freeing self-love gifts you can ever do for yourself at any time of the year, but especially during the holidays. Say no. Guess what? You don't even have to do gifts. I'm going to be rogue here. One of the biggest things and it took me years to get on board, but when I met Ben many, many moons ago, him and his family decided long time ago that they don't do gifts around Christmas. And no, they're not Scrooge. They just didn't want to buy gifts and be a part of the consumerism and the expectation of having to buy a gift. And I don't know if any of you are, can relate to this, but I remember back when I was, I was drinking the gift giving Kool-Aid. I really, around Christmas, felt like it was a complete obligation. It was this list and these things that I had to get done. Oh, I have to buy so-and-so a gift. I have to get a gift for this person's secretary. I have to get this. And before you knew it, there was a list of like 30 gifts that I had to buy for people. And it felt like this obligation as opposed to where I love giving gifts from a desire from the heart, right? So it became this big pressure to-do list. And I really encourage you to actually second guess and start really thinking hard about your relationship with giving gifts, because it's beautiful to give gifts and we should give gifts. But does it have to be from this place of I should and I feel like I have to? right? Really pay attention to your language, right? Oh, we should get her a gift, or I have to give her a gift. And then you're going out buying these generic things, you're getting a mug full of candy or whatever you're buying, these cheap little gifts that don't really have a lot of like love and heart behind it because it's become an obligation. So for me, that was a big learning chance for me to shift out of giving gifts from obligation at a certain time of year. And obviously, yes, within the family, we still do give gifts for the kids, but we shifted way out of doing gifts. It took me a lot of time to wrap my head around because I wanted gifts. I love gifts, and I love that idea of surprise and gifts around Christmas. But I want it to come from a place of real passion and purpose and love in that person giving me the gift. I don't want to be an obligation. So really, I had to take a hard look at that. And now it's really beautiful. We don't do gifts during Christmas. What we do in the family is gifts all year long. We in the family and different people, we're constantly gifting each other things all year long. Actually, my mother-in-law just dropped off something the other week that she's owned for years that I have really had my eye on. And I was like, oh, I want that. Write that in your will. I want that when you're no longer here. And she just dropped it off and gifted that to me the other day. So there's gifts happening all the time, and experiences and things that we do together throughout the year. And just the holidays have now been about just spending time together and not having the obligation of having to buy all these things that we don't really need, right? Or that we don't really want for each other. So side note there around gifts, right? This can be an area for you to reflect on and take a lot of pressure off yourself and save a lot of money, right? This whole, just not buying into this world of forcing us to buy something for someone that we might not even know very well and just to kind of keep up appearances. So yeah, we have to be a little rogue, right? Be willing to be a little rogue and a little bit, a little bit of a rebel in our society when we start to really put ourselves first in this way. And that's okay. That's really beautiful. And it's really a part of this journey. So reflect on these things that you can say no to, okay? Kicking that people pleasing, really, really connecting with what it is that you need and what you want. And how are you going to be able to have the most stress-free and nourishing season? Because when you're in a calm state, you're going to be less likely to want to eat sugar, right? Stress is such a big trigger for so many. Stress, exhaustion, you're not sleeping well, right? You're up all night wrapping gifts. Like this, just all of this is exhausting. And not having enough time to rest, to replenish is a big pitfall that so many fall into. Okay, so tool number 4, obviously intentional eating. So again, if you haven't figured it out yet, the theme of this is about being intentional. Being intentional in all areas of setting yourself up for a healthy and amazing and fun holiday season. So when it comes to intentional eating, even if you are planning to, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but even if you're planning to indulge in some sugar, every year I make 2 batches of my famous Danish cookies. I have boundaries around that. I'm not making hundreds of batches, and I really, really am intentional with that. But even if we're choosing to do that, or if you're sugar-free, even better, right? There are some things that we can really start adding in to support our body in the excess load that we might be having, right? Maybe you're having more mulled wine. Maybe you're having more cookies or sugar if you're not quite ready to go off of sugar yet. So there's some things that you can really do to support your body with that toxic load, right? That can sometimes, for a lot of you, depending on where you are on your journey, feel a lot easier than having to give up sugar for the holidays, right? So I encourage you to find a balance with that. But some of the things that you really might want to look into are things like intermittent fasting. If you don't already have a practice of that, there's lots to learn about that. You definitely check back. I've had some episodes around the fasting conversation here on the podcast a while back. So intermittent fasting really helps the body cleanse, right? It helps the body detox. It gives the body extra time to flush out the toxins that you might be putting in it during the day. So this is a great practice, especially over the holidays, to double down on your fasting regime, really focus on your intermittent fasting plan so that your body can reset every day as best that it can. You're obviously going to want to double down on hydration. It's going to be really important. Again, we're thinking about detoxing. How can you support your body to detox maybe the extra alcohol, the extra cookies, the extra things that you might be putting in? You also want to really focus on slowing down during meals. A big culprit this time of year is overeating, even if you're not eating sugar. So really slowing down and being present with your body and understanding when it's satiated. Not when it's full, when it's satiated. There's actually a point before you get full at Christmas dinner. There's a point where you're no longer hungry anymore. And that's the point to stop. Okay. It's not when we get full, and we have that cue really mixed up in our society and in our bodies because we're used to just eating until we feel full, and it's going to affect our whole digestion, and it's going to leave us feeling bloated and gross and probably craving more things later. Another really important tool here around being intentional with your eating, what you're eating, how you're eating, is to check in before you eat your meals around your emotional state. Check in with your body. Check in with your mind, check in with your emotions before you eat anything. This is really, really good information. And we talked about earlier about being curious about your triggers around sugar, right? And your deeper wounds and deeper pieces that might be going on around emotional eating and this sort of thing. So really just having the habit of pausing before you eat to take a breath and just check in with how am I feeling, or what am I feeling in my body? Or what's going on right now? Did I just argue with someone? Am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling exhausted because I haven't stopped in 14 days and I'm go, go, go? So taking a minute to check in is just a powerful tool in obviously any time of the year. And then of course, you're going to want to focus on fat and protein. Okay, fat and protein are going to be your best friend. Obviously, healthy fats. We're avoiding processed seed oils. We're avoiding toxic fats and oils, and really focusing on good quality protein. Animal protein, if you can, is going to have a lot better bioavailability and just a lot better to help regulate your blood sugar. So when we have the fat and protein, we can feel satiated, right? These are the things that help us feel really satisfied at a meal, so that we're less likely to be hungry and binging on carbs, right? And on sugar. So focusing on those really sets your body up, and it supports your body in regulating blood sugar better. So even if you are going to have a glass of wine and some cookies, if you eat a nourishing meal with lots of fat and protein, your blood sugar is going to be able to, and your body's going to be able to handle that sugar hit a lot better. So little things that you can do, really simple, but really important, right? Just slowing down when you eat. Intermittent fasting, hydrating, checking in before you eat anything, and focusing on that fat and protein. Just some really small tweaks that make a really huge difference in supporting your body with the excess toxic load that you might be putting in it around this time of year, and really helping you be more intentional with what you're actually putting in your mouth. Okay, tool number 5, moving right along. Tool number 5 is really, really committing to a daily grounding and self-love practice. So yes, I say daily, and I know that seems like a lot, but when we are constantly outward, which we are in our everyday lives, we're thinking about everyone else except ourselves, right? We start our day, we pick up our phone, we're on Instagram, we're scrolling things, we're talking to people, we're doing. And when we don't take a minute to pause, and this is really important, especially first thing in the morning, I want to challenge any of you to do this before you turn your phone on. I didn't turn my phone on until 9 a.m. this morning. I don't turn it on until I am done looking after me. And that's going to look different for all of you. And especially if you're busy this time of year, I really, really highlight 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes is all it can take in the morning to have some sort of grounding practice and self-loving practice for you. So maybe it's getting outside barefoot. Maybe it's having a little dance party. Maybe it's going for a walk around the neighborhood. Maybe it's just doing some breathing or doing a 10-minute meditation, to really just relax the mind and get started off on the right foot for the day. Really important in the morning, but if you can't get it in the morning or your lifestyle is different, do that at a different time of the day, right? Maybe it's a midday check-in, right? You need to reground in the middle of the day, right? You can connect to your breath. You can do some grounding movement. You can get out in nature. These sorts of things that just give you a moment to pause. So this is really important. And if you literally do this every day during the holidays, you're going to be able to show up mentally better, energetically better, and just be more confident in your power to say no and to stop people pleasing and all of these things as well that come your way. You'll be better able to handle the challenges that come your way and the twists and turns that are inevitably a part of the holiday season. So daily grounding and self-love practices. Okay. That is tool number 5. Very important, very vital. It needs to be at the top of the list. All of these need to be at the top of the list as you really create your plan and really set yourself up for success here. Last, but definitely not least, tool number 6 is to plan ahead. Okay. All of what we just talked about, is essentially creating your unique healthy holidays plan. And the reason so many of us fall into all the traps and throw away all of our goals and end up just binging and doing all the unhealthy things for the holidays is because we're not intentional. We don't plan ahead. And you might be doing this. Most people do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, this is an opportunity for you to do this year different and to do this holiday season different. So one of the things that you want to do, especially around food, is to plan ahead. Yes, you're planning ahead mentally, emotionally, physically, all the things that we just talked about, but you also want to plan ahead in terms of food. So one of the biggest supports that you can do, and I actually do this in my Sugar Freedom monthly membership community, we do a fun Healthy Holidays cooking party where we come together and we prep healthy sugar-free snacks for the freezer so that we can have something to snack on if everyone else is binging on cookies, and we can feel like we're still a part of that experience. So having those healthy snacks that are our go-tos, whether they're sugar-free, pumpkin energy balls or sugar-free chocolate almond bark, or, there's so many things that we can really set ourselves up to have, to bring to gatherings, to bring to places that the temptation might be there. So snacks, obviously very important. Prep those in advance, like right now in November, prep these snacks and meals. Stocking your freezer is going to be really important. There are going to be a lot of days in the holiday mayhem that you don't want to cook. And you're just going to be tempted. You're exhausted. You don't want to cook. Hopefully that's not the case. If you're actually taking and doing any of these things that I just shared with you, you're going to be relaxed and cooking's not going to be a problem. But if that's not the case, right? Having emergency healthy meals in the freezer is so important. This is a habit that is key for sugar-free living all year round, but especially during the holidays, right? Something that you forgot to plan dinner and now it's late and you lost track of time and everyone's hungry in your household and you need something quick and easy. Having, some chili in the freezer, maybe curry, soups. My freezer is always stocked with a variety of soups and different things that I can easily pull out, thaw out, and have a meal on the table in 15 minutes. So stock your freezer now. This is one of the biggest plan ahead tools that you can do for yourself, is make sure that you have all of those healthy meals there in case of emergency, because there will be emergencies. There will be the day when, someone dropped by unannounced and you didn't have dinner planned, or those sorts of things. The other thing here, and this is going to sound really counterintuitive to everything that we're working on, right, in cutting out of sugar of our life. But I feel like for a lot of you, and obviously, if you're sugar-free and you're going through the holidays sugar-free, that's amazing. Stay on track. Do it. This is so powerful and so life-changing to obviously continue that path for yourself. But for those of you who aren't quite sugar-free yet and who know that you're probably going to have some indulgences and you definitely want to allow yourself maybe some flexibility around having sugar over the holidays, there's a real power in planning ahead for those indulgences. So instead of just free-for-alling it and winging it around, I'm going to just have a couple cookies or I'm just going to do a couple things, really being intentional. Like I told you earlier with my cookies, I'll bake 2 batches of cookies throughout the month. And those are my, holiday indulgence. So what boundaries can you set and plan can you make around those indulgences? So this can be, for example, you're going to a party or you're going to your friends or your family's house for Christmas dinner, and you know that you want 1 glass of wine and you want to have 1 small piece of pie, right? And you set that goal in advance for yourself so that you're less likely to drink the whole bottle and eat the whole pie. So really just setting that little goal, micro goals, depending on where you're going or whose house you're going to or what you want to do to kind of find a balance for yourself. So you're not, again, this is the practice of not all or nothing. It's not eat all the cookies. It's, I'm going to allow myself to have 2 cookies tonight. And then I'm going to chug a bunch of water and I'm going to intermittent fast and I'm going to support myself with that. So planning for those drink and food sugary indulgences can be really, really powerful because it also helps you show up for yourself, right? And say, okay, you know what? I'm choosing to do this. And it's from an empowered place instead of ending up eating, the 12 cookies or the whole batch of cookies and then feeling miserable about yourself. So in advance, this doesn't always work. but at least you set the intention, right? And it's a really great practice to build integrity with yourself and to really, support your body, obviously, in being able to have some of what you want and moving past there. Now, I know that for a lot of you, that might not be possible, right? If you're really deep in your addictive tendencies, that might be a near impossible feat right now. And that's okay. So maybe that's not something that you do and that's not a tool that you use. But instead, maybe you plan ahead for your sugar-free drinks and treats that you're going to bring with you, right? We talked about stocking up on sugar-free treats, stocking up on those things that you know you can have that will maybe make you feel like you're part of the party, right? Or the dinner and everyone's having dessert and you get to have something too. So plan your sugar-free drinks, having something in your hand, that club soda with berries in it or lemon, or your tea that's really special for you, that chai tea that you love, whatever it is that feels like a fun, nourishing drink for you can be, it's really important to just plan ahead for those things. So wherever you are on your journey, you're going to just, be thinking ahead and planning ahead about stocking up your freezer and how you're going to actually approach those indulgences, what you're going to allow yourself to have, and then stay within that as best you can, obviously. So those are the 6 things. Those are the 6 incredible tools that are going to absolutely dramatically shift the way that you show up for yourself this holiday season and how you feel on January 1st, right? When you want to reset those goals and restart, a new fresh year, you're going to come to that from a place of feeling more alive and relaxed and nourished and hopefully, less bogged down and heavy and bloated and gross and guilty and shameful and this toxic place that so many women I know are usually at on January 1st. So you don't have to do that this year. Not at all. So quick recap. Number 1, mindset. Do the mindset work. Really be intentional ahead of time. Number 2, get clear on your goals and priorities. Really, really get clear on that. Planning for joy and connection. Number 3 is to set those healthy boundaries and to release people pleasing. You have permission to say no to things during the holidays. You do not have to do it all. Number 4 is obviously intentional eating, right? Bringing in those practices of fasting, hydrating, slowing down, focusing on fat and protein. Number 5 is building in and prioritizing a daily grounding and self-love time, right? Maybe it's in nature, maybe it's a 10-minute meditation in the morning, just really having points throughout the day to really be with yourself and to calm your nervous system. And then number 6, like we just talked about, is planning ahead, stocking your freezer, planning for indulgences and those things. So now you're ready. Now you're ready to make your own plan. And as I mentioned earlier, this is all great information, but it's useless if you don't sit down and actually make this plan for yourself. So please, please, please make this promise to me, make this promise to you right now that you're going to take time either right now, right here today, or in the next day or two to sit down with these six tools and really hash out a plan for yourself. What specifically is this going to look like? And what commitments are you going to make for yourself to navigate through and actually enjoy and thrive during this holiday season, while maybe also allowing yourself to have some indulgences too, right? To find that balance for you, that beautiful balance that exists, and to practice that. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm really excited for all of us to have a beautiful, nourishing, stress-free, fun, joyful, connection-filled holiday season. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.